Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Pioneering Perspectives podcast. My name is Michelle Kirsten Tubbs, Strategic Operations Specialist at Pioneers 21, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Pioneers 21 is one of the first and longest running incubators in the border region. Our mission is to inspire and incubate businesses and entrepreneurs through mentorship, training, and connection. In today's episode, I am joined by Philip Morton, founder of PM Technologies, a company bringing innovation to defense manufacturing through advanced on-the-go production technology. Thank you for being with me, Philip. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to jump into the questions.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So, I'd like to know a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, so I was a mechanical engineering undergrad student at UTEP here in El Paso. I got the opportunity to do a lot of research while as an undergrad. And probably more important or most important for the company is I got into the Keck Center. It's a big 3D printing research center here in El Paso. I was a research assistant for a while, and then I got appointed to a research manager there, and that kind of started a lot of things off, gave me a lot of good experience in a lot of fields related to advanced manufacturing.
And was that all within the time that you were completing your bachelor's?
Um, Most of it so I graduated in 2014. And I want to say I started a master's pretty much directly after that. But I'd say within the first, like 6 months or so of starting a graduate degree is when I got appointed to be a staff member.
So tell me a little bit about the experience, whether that's soft skills or that's technical skills that have helped you in the stage of what you're doing right now.
It was, I'd say it's a combination of both. So I did a lot of, technical research, wrote papers, filed patents, managed projects. But as early on in my bachelor's, I also was like the guy in the lab, like mixing the stuff together and, doing reactions and different things. Um, and then the soft skills, I think, also helped a lot because more toward the end when I was a manager, I got a lot of opportunities to present, talk to people, both at conferences, in front of an audience, but also like meetings with our clients and customers where I was giving technical updates. So it was, really a mix of both that I think helped a lot of, where I'm at now. But yeah, for me, I think technical stuff is easier to understand than um, I guess more communication, like storytelling type things is I like to tell stories with data versus
Setting the
just
stage.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah. And I think a lot of engineers can relate to that. But let's talk into PM Technologies. What inspired you to start PM Technologies?
So I always wanted to start a company as a kid. I used to do like yard work in my neighborhood and, make little bits of money here and there, but it's something I always wanted to do. For a long time, I didn't really have an idea, and while I was at the Keck Center, I got the opportunity to be part of some incubators and economic development activities. So I got a call one night from my boss, and he tells me, "Hey, do you want to start a company?" I was like, "Yeah, I've told you before I want to." And he's like, "Well, do it. Like, get on LegalZoom or whatever. Like, we're setting up some stuff in Horizon City." I was like, okay, so I didn't really have an idea. Just, they needed companies. There was some funding for different, little bits of funding for this and that. Um, and I guess one of the things, kind of working with 3D printing, a big thing we initially got into was mass customization of products. So we built some software and we had, the first product we launched was a rubber coaster. They're the best coasters ever. We don't really sell them anymore, but it was a rubber coaster, silicone rubber, and we had a software algorithm that would basically engrave like a logo into the coaster, and then
Oh,
we'd print the
wow.
mold and pour in the silicone and actually make them. Um, and so that's kind of where it started. I mean, we pivoted a few times from that, but yeah, just kind of spur of the moment, like, hey, you should start working on it. And it was kind of just finding, you know, where kind of my skills and what product potential kind of intersected. And it's changed quite a bit since then, but that's kind of where it started.
So, what was the need that your boss was looking into? Like, what was the need to start PM Technologies?
I mean, that was just, I want to say they were starting, like UTEP and Horizon City were starting an incubator.
Okay.
And so they needed people to fill it. And I had told them before, I'm like, yeah, I want to start a company at some point. So that just kind of happened. The product need was, just, I guess, offering different types of like promotional products. So there's like I forget all the names now, but like for imprint, right? Like you can
Okay.
get your water bottle and you get your logo like silk screened on it.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to do something that's more like tactile, more 3D,
Mm-hmm.
and then leverage 3D printing to affordably make those products.
Okay. So, I want to talk a little bit into the team behind PM Technologies. Is it just yourself, or did you have a team when you first started?
I mean, it's mostly been myself. I've had, a few team members here and there, kind of help out with different aspects of the business. We've been doing this for 5 years, and kind of where we started isn't really where we're at now. Um, so it's changed a lot, but I'd say, a big reason why we're still around is probably the customers that we've
Mm.
had. A lot of, local small manufacturers that I've worked with have actually helped me out quite a bit.
Oh, wow.
Not only just being a customer, but um, giving guidance, letting me use their space before I had space, to like put machines and things. So that's,
That
I
way
think,
it's not
something that
scattered
helped.
all over the place at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, and like cramming everything into a small closet, and then when I needed something, having to dig through it all and find it. Yeah, it was. But yeah, we've had a number of team members and customers have helped a lot too.
So, is it just you right now?
Yeah, right now it's just me. I had an engineer that just got a job with Exxon, so
Oh,
he
wow.
he left. But so yeah, I'm alone right now, but hopefully not for too much longer.
Are you looking into having another team member on?
Yeah, I think as we have some contracts in the pipeline, and I think as those come online, I'll have to bring in more people. And um, I mean, we're also looking at raising some investment funds so that, if we're able to raise those funds, then yeah, we'll hire, a small team probably.
Definitely. So, how would you describe your company's role in El Paso's advanced manufacturing and defense environment?
Um, so So I kind of described like where we started, right? Like mass
Mm-hmm.
customization of promotional goods. That's definitely not where we are now. I'd say where we pivoted was to what the Department of Defense calls expeditionary manufacturing.
Okay.
So there's a number of systems, that they're currently fielding and they're looking at more technologies, but if you imagine like a shipping container that has manufacturing equipment inside, so they can put it on the back of a truck, drive it wherever, deploy it, and then they're able to make products in the field,
Hmm.
basically. So that's kind of the space we occupy. We've been working with the defense industry, maybe for about the past like 2.5 years. And so, I mean, our role is, I think occupying that space is, one, we're an advanced manufacturing company, so we have a lot of knowledge in 3D printing. We have knowledge in expeditionary manufacturing, which is, of specific interest to the Department of Defense and other industries. I mean, our big focus is defense, but it's applicable elsewhere. Um, and so that's, I think we were one of the first, if not the first, for sure, startup company that started actually getting defense related work.
Here in the region?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's been some, over the years, I mean, with Fort Bliss here, there's a lot of military contracting, but um, trying to keep that growing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we're working on. So, I mean, ideally, if we're successful, we'll be that company that, the El Paso politicians or whoever, gives speeches can like point to and like, yeah, we're in this space now, we've
Yeah,
we've had some success. So that's, hopefully, right, what
definitely.
will be um for El Paso.
So, what were your early days like going into the company? Did you
Um
have any challenges or surprises that were able to turn your business into a real thing? Like that moment where you're like, okay, this could actually work out.
I mean, the early days were really tough. Um, like I mentioned, we started out like promotional products, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where kind of our markets that we were wanting to hit were like hotels, restaurants, and we started in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I think March 2020 is when like COVID shut everything down. The bar and restaurant and hotel industry like
Yeah.
struggled a lot. So that kind of like shut out that big market. We did have some sales with like people who would run Airbnbs and things, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it was really tough early on. And like I said, we had some good customers that had work related to like vaccine development and things where, we were doing some product development for them.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of helped like weather that storm and keep the lights on, so to speak. Um, but I think our kind of big moment that changed a lot was probably about 2 years ago or so. Um, Kind of talking to some of the contacts I made while I was working at UTEP, helped get us some, decent sized contracts, and that's I think when some of that started to take off. Well, I shouldn't say take off. We're still working, but um, made it feel more real, I guess,
Yeah.
instead of being like, the guy running around like asking people like, "Hey, do you need parts printed? Do you need parts designed?" To
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like we're actually developing something now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting to actually having a product out in the market.
Definitely. I want to talk a little bit about the community and how the community resources have been able to help you as a founder. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, so since the beginning, I mean, we've tried to take advantage of as many resources as we could. Like I said, early on, it was really tough. But I think pretty much any and every incubator, startup related organization we've probably worked with in town. Some of the big things that helped a lot, and especially since we're more of a hardware company, is space was super important. Um, and a lot of the organizations that gave us some space were, pretty critical.
Mm-hmm.
Customers, helped us out. For a little while, we had space at the
Oh,
MCA.
wow.
And then recently it's with the airport and the innovation factory,
Mm-hmm.
which has been really awesome because it's like the most space we've ever had. Um, and it kind of lined up really well with, as we're growing, this space kind of opened up for us. And so that helped a lot. I mean, we also met with a lot of mentors and coaches and, um, lots of people. I mean, yeah, I think everything helped, right? Um, Getting ideas from people, networking, introductions, opportunities. Like I said, we talked to everybody, and I think everybody we talked to helped us out in at least one way, sometimes more. So,
And I think it definitely shows like that being part of this community has helped because I mean you started back in 2020, it's 2025, so you've been able to stay alive for 5 years now.
yeah. And like I said, that helped a lot. Like if we would have had to rent space somewhere, that would have been really tough.
Mm-hmm.
If even some of the mentoring services, like learning about accounting and things that again, I've been doing this a long time, so I don't remember exactly where all the help came from, but um, yeah, like learning accounting, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm an engineer. I did some budgeting at UTEP because I manage projects, but
nothing extensive.
yeah, it's like how do you project your cash flow?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so again, I'd find, accountants and things that would just take time to, talk with me and kind of show me like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is how you do it. And yeah, I think to your point, it's all the little things that I didn't necessarily have to, pay for, which is really difficult early on.
Or do on your own.
Yeah, and kind of like mess up and then have to pay a lot of taxes or
Yeah,
penalties or whatever. But yeah, I think, El Paso in general is kind of like that, right? Like you can
yeah.
always find people to help you, and doing a startup is no different.
Is that part of the reason why you've decided to stay in El Paso?
Um, I mean, I like El Paso a lot. I was born and raised here. Um, I wouldn't say like the aspect of help is a big reason I stayed, but it's for sure been helpful. Um, I think the biggest reason I decided to stay here, like, the big places for startups are like San Francisco, Austin, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of money there, investors and things. But so being from here, when I graduated my bachelor's, I want to say something between like 90 to 95% of the engineering grads have to leave El
Mm-hmm.
Paso, right? Um, and the big thing, you know, if you look at like what an economy needs to develop, it's engineers and like those high paying jobs to stay in the city.
Mm-hmm.
We're a very service oriented economy, lots of logistics, lots of medical schools, things like that are the big employers, but not so much like design positions for engineers, which that and I might be getting off on a tangent, but
That's okay.
like if you start designing parts here, then those design engineers will work with the local small and medium manufacturers, drive their business, and then you create this like engine of like economic growth, right? But majority of the engineers that graduate from UTEP leave, right? Or there are some decent sized companies here in Juarez, but not so much the design side. It's more just manufacturing. And I think that's been my biggest motivation to stay is I would always tell the students I'd work with, like somebody's got to try to do it, right? and I'm not saying I'm going to be the one that's successful, but kind of starting that and saying, hey, I'm going to actually stay here, you know, invest my time, try to build something locally to maybe spur, real economic growth for the city. And
Mhm.
there's a number of startups out there doing the same now, but again, it's like if you're not willing to try to do it, why would you expect others to? And so I, decided to stay and try. I think is the motivation to stay here.
I
So,
think that's so powerful. That's definitely something huge.
well, yeah, thanks. I mean, it's like I said, I've always been that guy. Like, yeah, if nobody else is gonna do it, I guess I'll give it a shot, right? Even
Mm.
even growing up, like doing dumb things with my friends, it was for
Put
one
me
reason
in.
or the other guy to volunteer for. Yeah,
For anything.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So you landed a $190,000
Yeah.
STTR contract, and that's huge. What was that process like? How did you get that opportunity?
So STTRs, they're I forget what it stands for. It's Small Business Technology Transfer Research. Um, so they're grants for small businesses to do research, and STTRs specifically have to partner with a university or I think nonprofits qualify too, but kind of like have a research partner. Um, and so I think everything kind of aligned for this one specifically. It was, geared toward a region I had worked in for a while, like expeditionary manufacturing, with a technology that we actually have a local machine manufacturer. So I teamed up with UTEP, who at the time the Aerospace Center had a digital engineering cloud. So we could basically use their resources, run simulations, kind of like build a digital twin of the system. So they were our research partner. Um, Economy US, who's the North American uh, arm of Economy 3D, which is a German 3D printer manufacturer. We're another partner. They're local in El Paso, so they let us use or agreed to like kind of rent us or lease us their equipment so we could
Mhm.
run some experiments. Um, and so it all kind of like worked out. Like it was, uh, this like perfect topic for all the partners in the region. And then I had background while I was at UTEP. We did a lot of training related to like expeditionary manufacturing, so I had some of the background on it. Like one thing I used to get told a lot was, and it might be true, but I might have just gotten lucky, is these small business research grants, they usually like to have like a PhD or at least like a master's person kind of lead them.
Mhm.
I just have a bachelor's, so I kind of got lucky, I guess. I don't know, but like I said, it kind of felt like everything aligned for this one topic.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I got to submit a proposal,
Yeah.
put together a proposal, submitted it, and then we won, which was pretty awesome. So,
Definitely huge.
yeah. And like I said, that's, probably around the time when it started feeling, all right, like, um, we're actually like have something to develop, like, potential end customers, because, if it's a topic, there's a need out there. So yeah, I think uh, it was a great opportunity, I should say. Yeah.
Yes.
I used to say I'm lucky, but I don't know. Luck doesn't feel like the right word because it's
Because you also had to build that proposal, bring all those partners
yeah,
together.
um I forget, there's a saying like success is where opportunity meets preparation.
Mm. Yes.
Um like I said, it was kind of ideal. Like partners were here, people I worked with locally, and the topic came up, which was the opportunity, and kind of combining both those things. I think is the reason we won that award. So
So through that contract, have you been able to build upon your credibility as a small business, compliance, scaling? What has that contract been able to teach you?
yeah, I think it helps a lot with credibility. Because that's, something that's challenging as a small business is like, I go to people and be like, I have all this experience, like, kind of like telling them my resume, right? Like, and they're like, oh, okay, like, that's nice. But now I'm like, well, this is what we do as a small business. We won this, phase one award. And then that kind of, you know, their ears perk up a little bit like, oh, okay, like they're a little bit more, serious
Mhm.
and, getting money and, building stuff, that kind of thing. So I think that that's where it's really helped is, um, I guess, validation. I don't know if that's the right term, but um, yeah, now, I can use that like, hey, we have this conceptual design. I mean, hopefully we get more funding to actually build the physical prototype,
Yeah.
but it's something I can talk to other customers about now that are interested in it.
Mhm.
Like, hey, we have this conceptual design. Is it, something you're interested in? And then, having that led to other proposals we've submitted with other partners, where now we can say, hey, we really do have experience designing in this space, but now we want to bring in other, technologies into it, not
Yeah.
just like the metal printing capabilities. So that's I think where it's for sure helped the most is, kind of opening more doors, so to speak.
Definitely. What about the compliance side? I feel like that's something that's very new for a small business, especially with a huge grant like that.
It's so luckily, since these are tailored to small businesses, there's not all the same like rules and requirements that are attached to normal defense contracts.
Mhm.
So they don't they're what they call firm fixed price contracts. So it's like this is the dollar amount. You basically have this much money to like deliver what you told us you can deliver.
Mhm.
Um, So the compliance is mostly on like leveraging, I'd say like invoicing systems, making sure you're submitting your reports on time, making sure your invoices are correct. And like if you ever get a contract, there's like all these weird numbers and you have to like make sure you put the right, like, I mean, I think they're kind of like account numbers, right? But not
Mhm.
necessarily. Like you gotta like take the contract and take the numbers from there, and when you're submitting the invoice, like make sure it all.
All aligns.
Yeah, and so another area I got help is like there's this I forget what it stands for. It's WAF. Like I don't know. It's an online portal for to submit invoices, right? So I open it up and I'm like, I have no idea. And I look at like the documentation they have to help, and I'm like, this
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 is not
doesn't help
helping.
any. So again, I asked around like, hey, I asked some of the local companies that I knew did defense work. I'm like, can I talk to like whoever it is that submits your invoices? They're like, yeah, sure. So again, I met with people and they're like, oh, this is how you do it. Like you get this stuff from the contract and you put it in these, forms and all of that. So that's um yeah, compliance. I mean, there's kind of a learning curve to some of it, but like I said, luckily since they're tailored to small business, it wasn't as like stringent as like non-small business contracts, I guess. But I mean, just to add on a little bit, like things we're working on now are like cybersecurity certifications. Like that's a big thing being pushed by defense. There are still like contract mechanisms to get around some of that because not all businesses are gonna like be compliant.
Mhm.
Um, but that like accounting certifications and it's gonna cost money, which is always tough. But um, yeah, luckily we didn't have to have too much of that in place. I think for future work, we're gonna have to do a lot of it, and we're working on some already.
That's good to hear. What advice would you give to engineers who want to start a company?
Um, I mean, the first thing that pops in my head, and I'll add on to this, is like, don't do it unless you're serious about it. Um, and I've watched not that it's great advice, but like I've listened to a lot of like, VC investors and stuff talk about successful startup founders. Um, and I think a big takeaway is like it's difficult. Um, So if you're not like wanting to do it for the right reasons, I would probably not do it. Like I said, a lot of people I've talked to over the years is like, oh yeah, I want to start a business so I have freedom. Like you have you have freedom in the extent like your business can do what you want it to, but it's not freedom to like take a month-long vacation, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to start it is like when I was at the Keck Center, we kind of had our projects and like focus areas and things, and I kind of wanted to like do my own thing, right? Like, oh,
Mhm.
I think that you know, this technology or whatever has applications here, which I had a lot of freedom at UTEP, nothing against them, but now it's like totally up to me, right? Like I can do what I want. Um, I have to work like 7 days a week on it, but I get to do what I want, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I just say, make sure you're wanting to do it for the right reasons. It's like other people are like, oh yeah, I want to get rich. Like there's easier ways to get rich. Like
Go into business.
yeah, business, like work for a big company, do well, get promoted, and you'll make a lot of money, if you're successful in that regard. Like, what's the stat? Like 90% of startups fail,
Yeah.
like something crazy like that, right? So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
like 90% of startups fail, but 60% survive with mentorship.
yeah.
That's our stat.
But I mean, it's overall, it's difficult, right? So
Yeah.
it's like if you want to get rich, there's easier ways and to do that.
Mhm.
Like starting a company is not an easy way to get rich.
Or fast way.
Oh yeah, or fast, right? Like I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm not rich. So probably gonna do it for another 5 years and I probably still won't be rich. Then even if you have success, right, all of your uh I guess net worth is like tied up in equity in the company and then you gotta like
Yeah.
find a way to like liquidate it. And
Mhm.
anyway, yeah, I just say be sure like your motivations are correct
Yeah.
because and I think understanding like what you really want to do with your life, like where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years is super important. Um, Not to discourage people, right? But like it's, I I think there's a misconception out there that, you always see headlines like, oh, X company raised $100 million, right? But people don't understand like how many hours went into that company before they got to that point, right?
Yeah.
Um,
How many
and
sleepless nights?
yeah, like did the guy have a house when he was doing it? Was he sleeping on his friend's couch?
Was
Like,
he sleeping in his office?
yeah, like all the stuff you don't hear. And my point's not to discourage people, but
Just to reiterate,
it's like if you're gonna do it, like
you have to
be
be
willing to
serious.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see it, I mean, and you see it in pitch competitions too sometimes. Like some guy will be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just, I'm gonna pitch this business idea. I'm gonna raise millions of dollars, and if I don't raise millions of dollars, I'll like go back to whatever they did before, right?"
Yeah.
There's another joke I've heard, like people like doing like a B2B company, right?
Mm.
It's like, yeah, if they don't raise money or they fail, it's they go back into business. Or I forgot there's one for like B2C or C2C. Anyway, but yeah, it's like there's a lot of people out there, and I think it's more of a thing not in El Paso. Like honestly, a lot of the people in El Paso are pretty serious about it. I mean, we're a pretty young, like entrepreneurial community right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, be only do it if like you really want to do it, because depending on how far you go, like you can ruin your personal credit, right? Like if
Oh yeah,
you're living off of credit cards until you make
definitely.
money, like and look for help, right? Like I mean, I've talked to, the organizations like Pioneers 21, right, about things I need. I've talked to other founders in town, investors in town, and like talk to people, like really know what you're getting into, and I guess plan it out to whatever degree you can.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of it's unpredictable, but kind of like having a vision, like how you'd actually succeed, I think is also important. Um, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Did feel like you covered a lot.
Okay.
So
All right,
it's
good.
great. Um, and finally, for my last question before I let you go, what's next for PM Technologies? What do you have in mind? What are you
Well,
envisioning?
hopefully we don't go out of business. That's always like a good plan, right?
Yes.
Um,
Number one.
yeah, stay in business. Um, but yeah, I think really what we're trying, I mean, we're looking into contracts and like more work we can do and related to the products we're wanting to develop. We're looking at licensing technologies from different entities and organizations to kind of get a little bit more like robust technology offering. Um, but I think our big kind of next step is like seeing if we can raise investment money, right? Because that'll be another like kind of validation step, I'd say.
Yeah.
We're getting work from our customers. We got the STTR grant. We got some other stuff, either ongoing or like stuff kind of in the pipeline. Um, and we can just do that and kind of stay, relatively small, like steady pace of growth. Um, but if, we can raise some investment money, it kind of like will accelerate a lot of that really fast. And I think that's really what we'll try to do. Because I think the timing's right. There's a lot of interest in like the technology we're working in. I don't know if you listen to like the Secretary of is a Secretary of War now.
Oh.
We gotta change all the names, but um, I mean, their big interest is like additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing for those not technical, and drones.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, we're hitting both of those, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think like investment money makes sense. Like there's demand signal out there. We have some technology already. We have a roadmap on like what other technologies we would want to, integrate into. Um, and so investment would really help accelerate it. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have partnerships, networks kind of in these within the DoD, entities parallel to the DoD, and even other private industries that are interested. It's just kind of getting the capital to do the things we need to do, build prototypes. Sales is I shouldn't say sales is easy, but
Let's scratch that.
um, but it's like we know there's interest, right? So if we get money to build these prototypes, we can start demoing it for people that we already know are interested in it, and then hopefully that would lead to like more work, larger contracts, and all of that in the future. So
Well, it sounds like you have a lot coming up, so I'm
yeah,
excited to see your
hopefully.
growth.
But like I said, number one is just like stay in business. So
Yeah.
keep our bills paid.
Keep the lights on.
I mean, I don't necessarily have to pay myself, but I like to. I have my own bills, but I figure it out if I need to. But yeah, it's hopefully like I mean it sounds like a lot. We're doing a lot, and hopefully it, turns into a lot. So
Hopefully. That's always the goal.
yeah.
But thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I know it's an early morning, so thank you for coming downtown for this episode.
Yeah, of course.
I hope
Thanks.
our listeners took a lot away. I definitely did. Yeah, thank you so much for being on this episode.
Yeah, thank you.